All right, y'all, this video is gonna be a remake of something that I did a couple years ago where I planted some grass plugs in pots and we tried various methods to see what kind of root growth we could get out of them. This time we're gonna use Zoysia plugs. Last time we used St. Augustine grass. And some of the same products, some new ones, and just see what we get. Kind of remake this experiment and see what we get. We're also gonna look at top growth as well. So what I've got here then, you can see all the various different products. We're gonna start down here. We just have Humic 12, which is just straight humic acid. Then we have CK, which is just straight sea kelp. Then we have RGS, which is humic acid and sea kelp together. You see we're building here. And then we have Greene Pop. This is starter fertilizer with sea kelp. We're gonna see how that does. Then we have Hydrotane. Hydrotane doesn't have any fertilizer value at all. It's not used to make lawns green or make them grow, but we saw incredible root development with it last time. So there's something going on there. So we're gonna test that again. And then Foreplay, a new product for us. This kind of has everything in it. No fertilizer, but it has the Hydrotane, it's got sea kelp, it's got humic. So we're gonna see how that does. It is not necessarily a sod starter or root starter, but it's a dry spot thing. But again, we're just gonna see what goes on. Now, every one of these has been planted in just straight sand. It's called paver sand. And the reason I do that is because this sand has no nutritional value. It drains well and it won't block the roots. It will allow the roots to dive deep. So everyone has got the exact same amount of sand. Oh, I'm also gonna do one control. So we're gonna plant one, it's on the back side here. We're gonna plant this one control, which is gonna get water only. All right, so with that, let's get in to start mixing and see how we do. Okay, next thing, we are gonna measure or try to measure the top growth. Last time we just looked at roots. This time we'll try to look at the top growth and color. So I'm gonna give all of these the best little trimming that I can. All right, there we go. Nice fresh trim. So now we can measure top growth, color, and thickness. Let's move on now to the first watering. Okay, now for the mixing here and the applying of the products, I want to try to make this somewhat close to label rates, sorta, okay? So what I mean by that is we're gonna use Humic 12 as our example because it's the first one. So Humic 12 is 3 ounces per gallon. That's the minimum application rate. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a gallon of water, which I'm gonna put into here. So this is a 64, so 2 of these. This is not super scientific, but it's as close as I can get. So that's a half a gallon there. All right, so there's 1 full gallon of water now in that bucket. Now what I'm gonna do is put in 3 ounces of Humic 12 because remember, 3 ounces per gallon, 1 gallon covers 1,000 square feet. So you see what I'm doing? So everything we get here is gonna get mixed at its minimum rate into 1 gallon of water. That way we keep it consistent. So now I'm gonna measure out 3 ounces. All right, so that's 3 ounces and that's in 1 gallon of water. So now I'm gonna go ahead and stir this up. And again, this is our first pot, Humic 12 right here. Okay, put it back there, okay. Now that I have that mixed, it's gonna get 16 ounces of the mix. And that's gonna go all the way through. Minimum amount mixed in 1 gallon of water and then 16 ounces of the mix put on each one. All right, and we'll give you this on the screen too so you can see it because repetition is the key to learning. But just to reiterate again here, Humic 12, 3 ounces per gallon is the rate. So I got 3 ounces and 1 gallon of water. And now I'm gonna give it, for our experiment here, 16 ounces of that mix. Too much? There we go, 16 ounces. So I got 16 ounces now of the mix and I'm gonna put that right on top here. Right as good as I can, all the way around, let that soak in. Okay. Okay, done. Now what am I gonna do with the rest of this? I'm gonna pour it on my palm trees out back. Okay, now one thing I don't want to forget, I'm going to put 16 ounces more water on my control, because remember, everything got 16 ounces of water to start, and then all these got 16 ounces of water mixed with their concentrate. So to keep things even, the control is going to get another 16 ounces of water just to keep the fluid levels the same. So we're putting that in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an additional 16 ounces of water to everything here to simulate watering in. So what we did is 16 ounces of water first to give us moist soil, which most of these things will work better with moist soil. Then we added the concentrate to water and made our application, and now we're going to water it in. So 16 ounces, and yes, everything here has been cleaned off and cleared off and rinsed. All right, so here we go, 16 ounces of water on that one. And then our control will also get one final watering. Okay, so everything has now been started, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna water these every day with 16 ounces of water for the next 3 days. If they do get rain, that will be an addition. But no matter what, I'm gonna give them 16 ounces of water each morning for the next 3 days, and then I'm gonna cut it off, and we're gonna wait 2 weeks, and we're gonna see what happens. So 3 days of water, then wait 2 weeks, and we're gonna dig them out, and we're gonna see what we get. With that, I'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, y'all, so here we are back, and these were planted on July 5th. Today is August 1st, so that's like 26 days, so over 3 weeks. Typically, we would think that this would be long enough for us to see some roots. I did have some test pots going on the side, and those do have roots. Those were water only. So that gave me an idea that we have let these go long enough to see some root development. And the first thing I'm gonna do, though, before we go any further, is just give some observations of the top growth. And all of them, except for the one with the starter fertilizer with the green pop, all the rest have pushed seed heads. Seed heads are typically a sign of stress, right? The grass plant feels like it's stressed, so it needs to reproduce in case something happens where the stress continues and it dies, it throws up seed heads. That's what I've been told. That's kind of how I've always looked at it. Of course, if you take a plug out of somewhere that it's been growing and you put it in the sand and you pour a bunch of stuff over its head, that's going to be stressful, a change in all kinds of things. But other than that, the other thing I can notice is the one with the starter fertilizer, the green pop, is also darker green. I'm pretty sure it'll show up on the camera, but I can definitely see it visually here that it is darker green, and that one's got the most growth as far as width and height, with a close second being this one here, which is the Foreplay, also got quite a bit of growth. Hydrotane, good amount of growth on top. This one here, RGS, not near as much as those three, but some growth. The CK alone doesn't look like as much growth, and it goes on down. So really, these ones down on this end, from RGS down to CK, down to humic, down to water only, not too much top growth. These three over here, though, with the green pop, starter fertilizer, hydrotane, and Foreplay, quite a bit of growth, with, again, the starter fert being the most top and growth and color, which would make sense. This is the only one that actually has any kind of fertilizer in it. It has N, P, and K. All right, with that, what I'm most excited to do, though, is dig these up and look at their root development. That's the main thing. Oh, one other thing I did want to say is a couple of these have some green, I don't know if it's algae on top or what it is, but it seems to be in the ones with sea kelp. So The CK right here, that one has some of the green stuff on top. I don't know if it's, I'll just call it algae. I don't know if that's what it is. That one seems to have some of the algae on top of the sand. RGS a little bit, and the green pop quite a bit of green on top of the sand, so, or algae. So I don't know, it's a good thing. Anything green growing is good, I would think. We're gonna see what the roots look like now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take each pop back there. I'm gonna wash them out carefully, and then we're gonna look at the root growth and see what we have. Almost nothing. All right, y'all, so here we are after doing the rinse, and the results are extremely surprising. Now, as with any experiment that you do, you start to realize problems that have occurred along the way, and one that I've realized, and we're gonna redo this, but we're still gonna go over these results, is I left the bottoms on the pots. So what that means is that water was retained. They didn't drain. If I would have taken these bottoms off, they would have drained out. So I think what happened is water ended up sitting in the bottoms of these, and when you have water sitting, the roots don't have to dive deep. They just sit up in there and get it. I think that's part of the challenge, is that there was water sitting in the pots for too long. You could see it leaking out the bottom. So we're gonna do it again here. We're gonna go over this, but we're gonna do it again here after this with the pots where they can drain. But either way, let's take a look. So water only, good root development, deep root development, and if you compare that to the humic right next to it, which my prediction was humic wouldn't do anything because it's a biostimulant, but it's more a chelator. It pulls nutrients out of the soil that are already existing, and there is no nutrients in the sand. But either way, it looks to me like the root mass on the humic is thicker overall and a little bit deeper when compared to the water only. So I'm gonna say that humic definitely made a difference in the root mass development, top growth the same. CK, this is the one that I'm gonna say is the overall winner. This has the most root mass, width-wise, thickness-wise, and as far as depth goes, it is one of the deepest divers as well. So the CK by itself, sea kelp, which we've known that's what sea kelp is for roots. So that one right there, the CK, proves it, top growth about the same as everything else. RGS, this one was a little bit of a surprise. I thought I'd see a lot more here. This one seems like it had a couple of root strands that just dove super deep. And in fact, this one is arguably the deepest of all, but it's like one big root mass and it's all off of just one side. So it's weird, like the other side of this didn't even grow. So that's where I think maybe there was water in the bottom of the pots or whatever. And then we had this piece that fell off, which I don't know where it came from. So, I mean, RGS, not definitive, definitely one deep diver. And so we'll give them credit for that. Now, this is the biggest surprise, green pop, nothing. So this has to be an issue in the experiment. I mean, it doesn't have to be, I'm not a scientist, but I mean, come on, to get no roots, something's up. So what I think is, you can see it's super dark green on the top. I think I over-fertilized it because I took 16 ounces of the mixed product and poured it in there, and 16 ounces is meant to cover 125 square feet, and I poured that all in one single pot. So I think what happened is it just shocked it. So it turned green on the top with all the nitrogen and everything, but that's all it did was put all of its energy into top growth with all that nitrogen, I guess, and nothing else. So this one, yeah, this one we'll have to redo because I don't think that's the case. It might be. If we redo it again and we get the same result, then we'll know that starter fertilizer has been BS for life. And by the way, that's not on the brand here. This is just like any other starter fertilizer. So it's nothing against Greene County. And again, I think this is my mistake of over fertilizing. But there you go. We're being transparent and honest. We got nothing out of that one. So stay tuned for the second video. Now, these two here, these are not necessarily anything that I recommend to drive roots, but we do recommend them with seeding and sodding because they help to maintain moisture. Well, not this one, Hydrotane, helps maintain moisture. What we have here is the roots aren't as deep as the others. This is Hydrotane, so no fertilizer, no humic, no sea kelp, it's just hydrotane. It's a humectant, it's a moisture manager. It just helps to retain moisture. And again, as I said, the pots were not draining, so the moisture was all sitting in the bottom. That's why you saw leaks all over the table before. That's puddles, because these were just overflowing. So I don't know if the hydrotane had a chance to shine here because there was already water just sitting in the bottom of the pots. And by the way, I haven't watered them at all in the last 3 weeks. We've gotten enough rain that they haven't needed it. And again, with the water sitting in the bottom of the pots. But there you go, some good root mass from hydrotane. Not what I saw in the first Rootzilla, but that first Rootzilla video, which I'll link below, that I did, it was been like 4 years ago, that I did with St. Augustine grass. Those sat for like 4 months, just ignored. And that's where the hydrotane shined. Not that it lasts for 4 months, but it lasted long enough to shine. So I'll link that video below, and we'll retest this one as well. Now, I just did foreplay because I knew people would ask about it, because this one does have sea kelp in it. So it's got hydrotane plus sea kelp plus humic plus a surfactant. And it did about the same as hydrotane. I don't really see any difference at all. These two look like they kind of got almost the same result. Definitely a thicker root mass on both of these than water only, maybe slightly thicker, maybe slightly wider, but not as deep. So interesting result for sure. I'm again gonna say number one was the sea kelp. So look at that, that is just crazy, awesome, fat, wide, deep. And that was number one. I think probably humic alone and hydrotane and foreplay are all on about the same plane. Then we got water only. You know, water only comes in pretty close. It's just a thinner root mass, but deep. RGS, and then the starter fert that I believe was a mistake. So, hey, I'll be interested to hear what you guys say below. There it is. I will do this again, so we're just gonna replant the whole thing. I'm gonna get fresh sand. We're gonna do them again. The next one I'm gonna probably not pour so much in. We'll do dips instead. I'll change a couple of things in the experiment on the next one, but the main thing is I really just want things to be able to drain out so the water doesn't sit in the bottom of the pots and the roots have to run down. So there you go. Leave me your comments below. Let's have a discussion, see what you think. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the lawn. Later.